Hey everybody, this is Tim Hinton. You're about to watch my conversation with the Troopers with Adam Sage and Danielle Schweiger. Adam was calling in pretty late at night from Yokohama, Japan, in order to have this conversation. So thank you to him for staying up late to talk with us. We have a few technical issues and glitches in his feed, but the information that we share here is really valuable. I think you'll enjoy hearing about the choices the Trooper staff made this year and of the great stuff that they're doing for those students. So enjoy this conversation with Adam and Danny. Hey everybody, this is Tim Hinton from Marching Arts Education and the Marching Roundtable, and I'm really happy to be talking to these wonderful people from the Troopers. Adam Sage, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Glad to be here. A little bit of a time change here.
Right, and Danielle Schweiger, how are you, Danielle?
I'm well, Tim. It's good to see you again.
Absolutely. So we should let everybody know that Adam is in Tokyo. Is that right, Adam?
Yeah, Yokohama.
Okay, so he is in Japan, and it is a 13-hour time distance. So it's one of these amazing things where it's early in the morning here, it's late at night there. So Adam, thank you for stopping on your trip to Japan to talk to us about the Troopers. So everybody will be forgiving of any glitches we have with the technology, just because it's amazing that we're getting to talk to you. Could you tell us quickly what you're doing over there?
Yeah, I teach the Yokohama Scouts, the drum corps over here. This is my 5th year working with them, and this is the time of the year where we put the drill on and do the choreography and do that in the months of, I do it in June and July. Yeah, I do the color guard choreography, the color guard design, and then the artistic design and direction of the show, which we started way back in probably November. So yeah, this is the time where we're just kind of putting the program on the field, and they compete. They go out in their first performance in October. So they still have a ways to go, but they're learning everything right now. Pretty much their whole show's in the field. So now we do color guard choreography.
Got it. Got it. And what about with the Troopers? What is your role with the Troopers Drum Corps?
Artistic director and kind of putting the program together with the design team and conceptualizing and it's really kind of doing that as a team, you know, with the music guys and the visual guys. It's been pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I saw the show in San Antonio, was really impressed, and I sat there with my friend Jason, and the whole time we kept going, man, the color guard is fantastic. And so I was like, I know, who is this person? And I went and checked, and Danielle, of course. So Danielle, what's your role with the corps?
I am the color guard caption head.
Right. And so when I saw your name, I was like, okay, I'm going to contact Danielle and just tell her how great I thought the guard was. I just thought the Troopers guard was amazing and like stood out to me as like a wow. And so first off, congratulations, Danielle, to you and your team at the Troopers. And then Adam, congrats to you. I thought the show was really terrific. It's very interesting this year. You guys are clearly trying something new, taking a little bit of a direction. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. Do you want to talk about that process of deciding to try something different?
Yeah, sure. You know, I started last year with the corps, and you know, last year's program was still kind of in the genre of what the Troopers kind of have been doing, and it ended. It was kind of like a side to side, a progression from east to west, and it ended a little bit more modern, a little bit more contemporary after they started a little more traditional in the program last year. And I think this year, with the design team in place, with John Meeham, particularly in our initial conversations and Paul Rennick, we really wanted to do something a little bit more current, a little bit more modern, something perhaps a little bit outside the box for what the Troopers have been doing. And that really kind of initiated the initial stages of the concept of the identity of the program. We specifically want to do something a little bit more non-literal, a little bit, I don't want to say vague, but a little more non-literal. You know, so kind of go on our own journey as they go into, you know, the next corps. And Christy Jackson, as a corps director, was really supportive of the idea of moving in a forward direction. You know, especially after 60 years as a drum corps, you know,
Yeah, absolutely. So Danielle, you were before we were recording, you were talking about the tradition of the troopers as innovators. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so providing some historical context, the troopers were, the first drum corps to really invent the concept of touring drum corps, and they were the first corps to really, explore asymmetrical drill. And back in the day, the corps was really considered innovative and very, very cutting edge. And so, now as we get to kind of depart from that identity, the identity that they've sort of adhered to for such a long time, I think that's what makes this summer show so special and so unique is that, we changed the uniforms. We changed the drum major uniform. It's the first time the drum major uniform has changed in the existence of the drum corps. And we love where the corps has been. We love the identity of what the troopers has always been. But I think this summer is so special because we did kind of, to speak to Adam's point, get to depart from that, which is really traditionally what the troopers would have done. And something Jim Jones, I think, would have supported wholeheartedly. So that's been really, really special. It's been cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that idea of the troopers were always cutting edge and innovators. Back in the day, they were such an important part of pulling the activity forward. So it's sort of, as much as we love the troopers that we all think about, it makes sense to me that they would sort of stretch. So Adam, is that what you were sort of thinking as you decided to move them into a different look and a different kind of show?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, I was talking to Paul Rennick at the end of last summer, and we were talking about just music, because there's iconic, you know, um, moments over the years that troopers have played specific music, right, that have made the troopers who they are. And he was really he wanted to go another direction. He wanted to do something more modern, American composers, and still be, you know, something specific to the drum corps, like those type of decisions in terms of music, but then also let it be something a little bit more modern, a little bit more contemporary, and move in a different direction. And the drum corps, Christy was very supportive to that right away. And then John Meehan came on board this year, and it's been awesome. He really was very passionate about that as well. And so we kind of went with this idea of beyond boundaries and created a different look for the drum corps, which I think, I think the look, I saw the corps the other day in Houston, in Katy, Texas, and it had a great look. The field looked great, the set design, the uniforms. It's a small departure, but in some aspect, it's a huge departure, from a costume standpoint. But it was really interesting. I watched every drum corps that show. I think it was I forgot who, Lone Star maybe, the first drum corps on in Houston. I watched all the corps, and as much as the troopers, it's a completely different look for the troopers. They fit right on in. The corps before them, the corps after them, they fit right into the mix, which I thought was pretty cool. The look of the corps, even though it's different, it felt as though they considered that this is the year 2019, and how do we make the troopers move in a forward direction, moving on. I thought that was pretty cool.
So do you want to talk about I thought the set was really interesting, and I thought the way that the corps looks, the uniform with sort of the block and do you want to talk about how those decisions were made on why they look that way and how it fits into the beyond boundaries concept?
Yeah, we wanted to. The idea of beyond boundaries is pretty clear. We wanted to break any kind of a costume boundary, if you will, like the specific looks of a drum corps. We wanted something a little bit more modern, contemporary. We went with the patterning on the drum corps, the horizontal line, the color palette, all of that to kind of still be in the branding of the drum corps in terms of color palette, but still but then as well give it a more modern, contemporary look. The field setup, we experimented with so many different looks, but the use of the diagonal floors, the triangular shaped floor in the beginning or up front, that they utilized in the beginning of the program, it just allowed us to kind of blur the lines, so to speak, get rid of all the field markings and those kinds of things, and also kind of give us some opportunities to stage and do drill within that space and then beyond that space. So that really kind of lend itself to the concept of beyond boundaries in terms of the field setup.
Okay, that makes perfect sense to me, and that's exactly the way that I responded to it when I saw it. I love the way that the show starts with everybody on the front triangle, and that I thought was really, really interesting. The way that that all made sense to me. I thought that was really cool. So, and also I do think I sat there thinking, this is this is new, like they're stretching, they're going beyond their boundaries, I guess. But I did respond to it really positively.
Nice.
And I think it's pretty,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did too. I think it was nice to see it live. I've been watching videos and so forth since I saw them last time in Memorial Day, but the color palette looked great, live. And, and when the chord was coming on the field, I thought this is really great together. Excuse me, the drum corps is in the horizontal pattern, but the color guard, their costuming utilizes more curved pathways and curved patterns in their costume. So that was kind of a decision made. So the color guard has more of a kind of a softer look in their costuming, and I'll use that, in terms of the costuming and staging and how that connects to their flag designs.
Okay, that makes perfect sense, and I did respond to that way too. So I don't think I was even cognitively aware that I knew they were softer and that they were a contrast, but I don't know if I thought, oh, they're curves. But that's how this design stuff works, right? Like I'm responding to it like you want, but and usually I'm a designer, I try to catch those things, but that made perfect sense to me. Danielle, I thought the guard was so wonderful. Can you talk a little bit about what have you been doing to get them to this level? Because I just thought they were achieving at a super high level, and they were so expressive and so clean. So do you want to talk about what you and your staff are doing?
Well, thank you. Yeah. When Christy and I were talking about what kind of we wanted for the color guard from an excellence standpoint this year, and what we've all been talking about on staff in terms of an excellence standpoint is that, beyond making the show something accessible and fun for the audience, we really wanted it to be achievable and fun for the membership. And we just wanted to create an experience for the membership that made them fall in love with the drum corps and fall in love with being in the color guard, and make them really want to be part of the organization. And so I always first and foremost communicate that directly down to the guard staff and make sure that our first priority is the member experience. And then, excellence and all that kind of stuff will come after that. But as long as the membership wants to be there, it's going to work out, so that was really the primary thing that we've done. And then, since then, I just can't speak highly enough about the staff and the people that are in front of the kids and have been all summer. They're just phenomenal professionals. They know how to keep it fun, and they really know how to make sure that we're driving the excellence home. And of course, the way I see it, we still have tons of work to do, right? And we're running out of time at this point in the season. But I think it's really great to hear your positive feedback, and it's great to hear that it's being noticed. I think the color guard is maturing. We're pushing our average age a little higher, and we're asking them to do still some challenging stuff. The choreographers were fantastic. I think they did a really good job of comprising the book to meet the kids where they are, and then also push them a little bit, which is obviously what you want to do in the drum corps situation. So yeah, I again, thank you for the positive feedback, but I can't speak highly enough about the staff and the kids. Their attitudes over the summer have just been super positive. And then of course, Christy Jackson's leadership has just been pivotal in the success for the whole program and this kind of push forward this year. So can't speak highly enough about her either.
Yeah, I love to remind people that every drum corps is giving students a great educational experience, and so we all watch the top groups. We're like, wow, but every single corps that we see at any level, there are great educators doing great teaching. Those students are learning so much, growing so much, and so I think it's awesome. And I feel like the Troopers Guard is like the poster child for that. Like clearly they're getting great training, they're having a great experience, and I felt like they loved what they were doing. Because you can tell when you watch a show if those kids are having a good time or not. And I felt like the Troopers kids were all having a good time. Adam, do you want to speak to the excellence of the Guard? Because I think it was really impressive.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, because when I was in Texas last week, I saw one of the staff members outside of the stadium that night before critique. And I said the same exact thing. I said, the progress of the Guard this year is gigantic. And Danny has done an amazing job setting up the staff and really putting in, lesson plans and details so the kids are taking the next step. And honestly, their content in that program is pretty big, not just choreographically, but even from a staging standpoint. They utilize the entire field, the whole drum corps does, which, that takes, like Danny said, like we have things still. They're learning some changes this week, little details, or just so impacts can communicate, some moments, audio visual connections here and there. But the performers are really challenged. They really are given, they're in a context and setting in terms of the field layout, and how they use the space. It's pretty broad, but to see them the other day kind of work through that and their progress, it's pretty cool. I'm excited to see what they can do in the next 3 weeks, because 3 weeks in drum corps land is like 3 years.
Yes.
Well, I think it's awesome. Like clearly the great teaching, the great planning, the great designing, all of that is unfolding on the field. And I was excited for the troopers. And I know there are a lot of people that are frustrated that it's not the troopers that we remember necessarily. It doesn't necessarily look like we expect them to, but we have to remember that, like you said, they were innovators. They're being innovators now, and we have to keep up. And sometimes you just have to try something different. And that's the other thing is I like to remind people that like everybody's being very brave, like you're taking chances. Let's try something. Like great shows are like that. It may not work exactly the way everybody likes, but like you have to try things. You're trying to make good choices. Nobody's out there trying to put on a show that nobody likes, right? Everybody's trying to create a show that's fantastic, that everybody will love. So I appreciate that you guys made some bold choices, and let's let it play out. Right. Would be my message.
Yeah,
for sure. And I think, I always, there's that concept, and this is kind of getting a little esoteric perhaps, but there's that concept of, when you know someone for a really long time, over a course of years, you notice that they change as a person, and that's good because change means that you're growing. It means that there's something different happening to that person. And I think we have to treat drum corps the same way, is that if drum corps were the same right now as what it was 15 years ago, I don't know that ticket sales would be where they are, because without that change and that progress, there's just no growth. There's no interest, so I think this is a really exciting time for the troopers and for drum corps in general. I think lots of drum corps are doing really cool, exciting, different things, and that's always a pleasure to watch across the board.
Yeah, Adam, do you want to speak to those bold choices people are making?
Well, I completely agree. I think you have to take a risk, to be able to move forward. And, we were just talking about this the other day, costuming and uniforms and all of that, it's just moving in a different direction. And what, it's different for a drum corps organization, maybe that's been out for 20 years, let's say, as compared to an organization that's been out for over 60 years. It's like you have to know what, who you are and your branding, but also be able to take those chances and those risks to move forward. Because like Danny said, we can't function where we have been 15 years ago. We have to be able to rediscover, and it's been pretty cool. I love that about the troopers. I love that about what I saw last week in Texas. And I thought, the kids are getting there. They really are communicating and getting stronger, and their performance level and their achievement will continue to elevate in the next few weeks. And I thought it was really cool to see them in a landscape that really was like, oh, this is a direction for the organization.
Yeah, all right, I totally get that. And the other thing I want to say too to that is, I'm aware, like I'm an old dog. I've been around a long time, and I've seen drum corps from the 70s on, right? So I think a lot of people are worried, like it isn't what I grew up with. It's so different. All these costumes, all this stuff going on. But I got to tell you this. I visited with the Blue Coats last Friday, And I walked in, and there were kids walking around eating cereal out of a bowl with a plastic spoon, waking up, sleeping on the floor. And I said, man, this is drum corps. It's still drum corps.
Yeah.
It's totally
Right.
still drum corps. We may be asking them to do different things, but man, they were having the same awesome drum corps experience that I had 30 plus years ago.
Yeah.
And so that helps me remember. And I would tell anybody that's like upset about things, go to a drum corps housing site and watch a rehearsal, and you'll see, man, it's the same exact awesome thing you loved. Just the shows are doing some different things, but drum corps is still drum corps. You get on the bus, you ride all night, you get up, you have a bowl of cereal, and you're out in the field in the heat. You know, it's the same awesome thing that we all loved.
And realistically, the kids are still getting out of it what we want them to get out of it, regardless of what we're doing. You know, I think talking about what drum corps are doing is fun and cool, but realistically, like, the membership is still getting the same work ethic and discipline and consistency and commitment and all the things that anyone gets at a drum corps experience. They're still getting that, just in a different uniform. Mm-hmm. You know,
that's right.
They're still getting the what we want them to get out of the member experience. You know.
And the troopers are still the troopers. They may look different, but man, that's still the troopers carrying on the tradition of the troopers. Even though they may be wearing something different and the show may be a little different and they're not playing, you know, necessarily that song I want to hear, you know, it's just part of it. Adam,
yes.
In closing, anything you want to say before we go about any of this?
No, I think this year's been pretty exciting. And like you said, a lot of drum corps are taking these steps and these chances and these risks. And that's what allows you to move forward and create the next, you know, what are the troopers going to look like, you know, in the next 61 years, you know? And I think it's been really great to see the support of the organization, because they've been 100% on board from the minute we started with this journey this year. And I think it's really just refreshing to see how they're supporting that, and the membership is coming together to really make this happen. And, you know, we're fortunate to work with a great design team, and with John and Paul particularly. You know, they have been involved. The three of us have been involved from the beginning stages of what we want this to look like, what we want it to sound like, specifically making choices to let the concept for shows in the last, you know, bunch of years have been very specific and very driven by, you know, specific theme that maybe we're used to seeing the troopers. So we were really wanting to take the next step, and so that's, you know, just a great process as a team coming together, and then with the support of the organization. And on kids, I talked to the performers, I should say, Memorial Day weekend, and they were just pretty pumped and were on board in the process. So see, we're next, you know, definitely.
Okay, awesome. Danny, any final thoughts from you?
No, just thanks again, Tim, for your kind words and for your words about the organization. And it's been an awesome summer for me to be back with the troopers. I have such an emotional place for them in my heart, and it's been great working with Adam, and the design team has all just been awesome. And then, of course, the educational staff, those people are just you know, doing a phenomenal job. And of course, the membership has really stepped up to the plate, and they're, I think, really carrying the message forward. And I think they're doing really, really great things for the legacy of the organization. And I was excited to get to tell them that at spring training was, you know, you're helping this core and this organization to part from something, and that's really special. It's a special time historically to be part of the troopers. And so I've really enjoyed the summer, and again, I can't say enough about the caliber of the people at the troopers right now. It's a very exciting time.
That's fantastic. So everybody that's watching this, when the troopers come on the field, remember, it's still the troopers. They're carrying on the legacy. The Corps is still here. Those kids are still busting their butt out in the sun every day. So let's clap like crazy for them. You know,
yes,
and I think you guys are doing such great work. Adam, thank you for stopping late at night in Japan to do this conversation. That's so cool of you to do that. You're doing great work. And both you guys, I'm super impressed. So it's been wonderful to have this conversation. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks so much.
Find other interviews and videos from top DCI designers, instructors, and marchers, behind-the-scenes videos, interviews, and podcasts from winter camps, spring training, traveling during the season, and performances, all at marchingartseducation.com/DCI-2019. The Marching Roundtable is proud to be an official media partner of Drum Corps International.